Wow, too bad you missed the president's breakfast.
I had to go to a wedding. What did I miss?
Great breakfast, free gifts and great resources for starters. Lance Miller showed several videos of champion speakers. That was so inspiring. I won one of the complimentary raffle prizes.
Cool.
I met the district leaders and networked with other club presidents. I got questions answered, and so did lots of others.
Coming up. Many of you have heard of him before. His name is Lance Miller. He is a distinguished Toastmaster. He is a member of the Renaissance Speakers. We're all very, very proud of, at least those of us in the Renaissance Speakers are very proud of that fact. He has traveled all over the world for Toastmasters. He has the most unique and interesting point of view on Toastmasters and Toastmaster clubs. He trains Toastmaster officers all over the world. In November, they're going to, what, 3 or 4 different states, 4 different districts to help with training. And this is not just something he does occasionally, this is something he does all the time. He's all over the world, he sees what the specific clubs need, what the officers are looking for. He understands it in a way that I don't know anybody else in Toastmasters who understands it. And I am so thrilled that he's willing to be here today and work with us. He's also a good friend, and I love having these chats with him because I learn so much from him. And I hope you will learn as much as I do from working with this man. Today, the first thing we're going to talk about are world champion speakers. We're going to get to see some of them. And then afterwards, he's going to talk about practical ways to make your club presidents distinguished. Please help me welcome Lance Miller.
They gave me today. How many people here have ever competed in a Toastmaster speech contest? Anybody? Oh, fantastic, fantastic. How many people here ever lost one? What a bunch of losers. A bunch of losers in this room. Well, those of you that don't know my story, I competed in the Toastmasters International Speech Contest for 13 years. And I will tell you, I've lost more contests than I've ever won. Not only that, I sat out in the audience and I thought I won the contest and lost it more times than I've ever won. I've been through every emotional range and gamut and experience you can, I think, have competing in Toastmasters speech contest. And this is not about that. We're going to look at some world champions, but I just want to leave you with this concept. Losing speech contest and bad judging, which I experienced one time, made me a better speaker. The Toastmasters speech contest is a subjective test. It's not objective. We're not saying who comes on specifically on a time. We don't look at who uses a specific number of words. It's subjective. Life is subjective. Get used to it. The Toastmasters International Speech Contest is less subjective than life. Enjoy it. Joe asked me to pick 4 international speech winners to share with you. And one of the things that I enjoy doing in Toastmasters, since I really have no control lines on me, I can say what I want, when I want, how I want, is I don't pull punches when I go out and talk to the districts. I like to tell people really the way I feel Toastmasters is. And one of the things I think I've experienced in Toastmasters is that we're very much an organization of the blind leading the blind. We do not have professional trainers in Toastmasters that hold a specific line that bring us up to it. I do a boot camp 5 days a week when I'm in town. I have professional trainers in that boot camp. And Janet's a professional trainer and at the YMCA. You bring people up to a standard. In Toastmasters, we're all helping each other try to attain a standard. So we're very much sort of the blind leading the blind. And because of that, it's very, very easy for a lot of bad habits to be rewarded and to get rewarded. And what I've seen in a lot of speeches in Toastmasters is you feel what you have to do is get up here and jump around on stage and hang upside down on chairs and dump your purse out on the floor and pull things out of your pocket and get in incredible acting scenes in front of the stage. That's not public speaking. That's something else. It's vaudeville. It's not public speaking, but I see that rewarded time and time again. What I have done is I've gone through and I've picked specific speeches that I feel represent oratory excellence. They represent the fact that the person in front of you speaking is the same person you would meet in the hall. And I'm sure we've all seen this when you see the overly dramatic individual come up and go, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to be in front of you today, and at the end of this seminar, I will guarantee you that each and every one of your lives will be transformed." Have you ever seen somebody be like that? And then you meet them in the hall and they go, "Oh, hi, oh yes, oh, it's very nice to see you." This humble, quiet, mousy person, but when they get on stage, they're trying to be, like a game show host. What I wanted to do is I wanted to be the same person standing here talking to you as I would be out in the hall. Because that's where my strength is as a speaker. I had a transformational experience yesterday. I heard a gentleman by the name of Father Boyle speak, who is the founder of Homeboy Industries. It was right, Homeboy Industries. What an incredible speaker. He was at my Rotary Club. And I'm going to share some stories with you because it transformed. I mean, it's what I believe in, what he talked about, but he wasn't up there being dramatic. He was up there sharing stories with us. He was up there telling us what life's about. And that's what's needed in the world. So I picked 4 speakers. Question, who here has seen my international speech? Anybody? Okay, a few of you have. Joe asked me to show that. So I'm going to show you mine as well. I was going to pick 4 other ones, but she says, "I want you to show you mine," so I'm going, "Okay, I'll show you mine." And, I think hands down it's the best, but that's my opinion. So the first person I'm going to do is a gentleman I had never seen speak until I did this project, and I went through the last 20 years of speeches. He's a man by the name of Brett Rutledge. Let's watch Brett's speech here. What I'm wanting you to look at is watch how the speech develops. Watch how he opens it. Do you feel he's genuine? Do you feel he respects the audience? Do you know where it's going? Because one of the things I never like in a speech is for somebody to tell me where they're going to take me. I want a surprise in the speech. I want the story built and then the point to come around. These are the things I'm looking for. Okay, so let's take a look at Brett here.
Little world. My little world, Brett Rutledge.
I was the kind of kid your parents told you not to play with. Mr. Chairman, fellow Toastmasters and guests, you probably remember me. The detention hall's only permanent resident.
Wasn't that incredible? Yeah, and see, to me, this is what this whole game of Toastmasters is about. It's about being able to get our thoughts in mind and communicate it in a way that conveys an idea that changes the world. And I've shared this story many, many times, and the lady I'm going to talk about is sitting here as well. When I first joined Toastmasters and asked what the International Speech Contest was, Roberta Perry told me, that's like you had 5 to 7 minutes to speak to the world. And that scared me to death. Because I didn't know what I would say if I had 5 to 7 minutes to speak to the world. And I thought that the world should hear from somebody much more important than me. But whoever speaks to the world is one person with ideas that is able to articulate them and reach out and change the world. And each one of us has that potential, just as Brett shared with us. Phenomenal talk. When I heard that, I'd never watched it before. I'm enriched having seen his lessons. But that was oratory excellence. He took you on a phenomenal journey, delivered a very clean message. The next speech I'm going to share with you is one that LaShonda Rundles, and this was in Calgary in 2008. And one of the reasons I want to do this is LaShonda was deathly ill when she had lupus, and she was in and out of the hospital, and her speech embodies her life. And when you hear the whole backstory about LaShonda and everything like that, you see what she's conveying through her words. But she does it so incredibly beautifully, and in a very direct, clean line, which I really, really appreciated. You really get to see the essence of the individual on stage when she's up there. And just so you understand too, in 2012, she came to the Toastmasters International Convention in Orlando and went in the hospital and passed away there. And so that's one of the reasons why I looked at the speeches and really looked at what is the individual's purpose for communicating. She was embodying, in this speech for me, she embodied her purpose in life in communicating to the audience what her viewpoint was. So please enjoy LaShonda here.
Speaker 9, LaShonda Rundles. Speak. Speak. LaShonda Rundles.
I generally be off to the side of the stage here with my mom. She'd say, LaShonda, go ahead. I'll be right here when you get back. And I would take center stage thinking to myself, not if there is a God. But then I would have to sing, some glad morning, when this life is over, I'll fly away.
Do you really feel that she believed what she said?
Yeah.
And what I see so often in speakers is that they stand up, I was guilty of this for years, and trying to say something that the audience will go, wow, oh, they're trying to impress the audience, instead of really speaking from their heart. And as I teach in my seminars, if you want to touch the heart of the audience, you have to speak from your heart. The closer to your heart you speak from, the closer to the heart of the audience you reach. You don't speak out here and hit the heart of the audience. And it was a very incredible journey for me to really discover my messages, to really discover what I had to offer the world, because I started really feeling like I had very little to offer. And it's one of the reasons that, quite honestly, I'm so passionate about this program and about Toastmasters, because I see in every individual phenomenal stories, phenomenal lessons that improve the world and enhance lives. But people are sitting on it, and like LaShonda was saying, they're not speaking their truth. They're not speaking what's in their heart, speaking through their fear and making a difference in the world. And that's what this is about. So let's look at the next one I have for you. And many of you may recognize this. This is Mark Hunter, who is from Australia. And Mark competed about 4 times at International. One of the interesting things about Mark is he is in a wheelchair. And it's one of the reasons I picked this, because many times we have great tragedies that hit us, and I hear people stand up and they talk about having cancer or losing a loved one. You know, a lot of times people feel you can't win an international speech contest unless you have death in it, you know, which is not true at all. Right there. How he describes what happened to him and how much attention he puts on how he got in the wheelchair, but what he talks about what he really struggled with in life. So let's watch Mark here.
Our 8th speaker, Mark Hunter, a sink full of green tomatoes. A sink full of green tomatoes, Mark Hunter.
Thank you. Literature is literally littered with lively legends. Amongst them rides Don Quixote, the man of La Mancha, an idealistic knight who fought for the rights of others. and dared to dream the impossible dream. Madam Contest Chair, ladies and gentlemen.
Message for the world, don't you think? Oh, yeah. Each one of these, when I look at that, I look at if there was a contest, which I would one time had envisioned that the world would stop and one human being was selected to speak to it for 7 minutes, you know, what would I say? And that's one of the reasons I lost the speech contest as often as I did, because I couldn't figure out what to say. But each one of these speeches I see would have a profound effect on the world, because I know for me it had a profound effect on me, and I am part of the world. Last one will be my speech. If you haven't seen it, your life will never be the same after this. I can't promise if it will be better or worse, but it won't be the same. A quick summary of this was, oops, I put the wrong one. I had to, as I was going through my soul searching and trying to figure out what it was I wanted to say, what it was that I had struggled with in my life, what it was that if I had a message that I felt all of mankind could embrace. It came down to this simple fact, and there's quite a story behind it, which I don't have time to go into today, but if we would just stop finding out what's wrong with other people, and we would look at what is right, all the problems in the world would go away. I had a number of... Sorry about that. That was the thunderous applause for my speech, just so you know. I had a number of situations in my life where seemingly well-meaning people decided to explain to me what my faults and inadequacies were to make sure that I understood them quite well. And the problem is, I didn't need someone to explain to me what my faults and inadequacies were. I lived with them every single day of my life, 24 hours a day. They got them a few minutes or maybe an hour a day and had to live with them. I had to embrace those all the time. And of those experiences, none of them were beneficial to me. The things that made the difference was when people brought the best out of me. And that was the genesis of where this comes from. So let me share this with you.
Speaker number 8, Lance Miller. The ultimate question. The ultimate question, Lance Miller. The ultimate question. That question that has plagued man since the dawn of time. And that question that each and every one of us must ask at some point in our life. Do you validate? Mr. Chairman.
You know, it's interesting, when I look at what our Toastmasters experience is, we bring people in and we ignite their imagination, which has been squashed by the world, by authorities. We teach them to speak through their fears and change the world, to encompass others with love and understanding, and to validate what's right in people. That's what we do in this organization. That's what those 4 speeches represented from that standpoint. In a few minutes, I want to talk to you just about the Distinguished Club program. One of the things that also dramatically changed my life was that when I joined Toastmasters in 1992, we had, at that point, a good Toastmasters club, although it was going to go into a couple struggling years. And Renaissance Speakers was formed in 1989. It was a very large, successful club. It had dropped down to be a club, I think, of 6 or 7 members. And the people that were left didn't have a meeting. They had coffee one day. And they were trying to decide what to do, if they should keep the club or close it. And they decided to keep it, and Joe Laurcell was there at that time and took control and built the club back up to be one of the top clubs in the world for clubs under 30 members. In 1992, 93, we had a little bit of a rash of some, we'll just call it erratic leadership. And we had 35 members, we had about 12 people coming to a meeting. The meetings weren't fun, they were becoming a little arduous. It reminded me quite a bit of like working in a salt mine. you know? You should have showed up going, ah. Nobody would come, people weren't coming for their speeches, you were having to be triple, quadruple hatted. You know, you come in, you're a speaker, you're a evaluator, you're a grammarian, and you're a table topics master. And there was a group of us. I certainly didn't do it on my own. There were about 5 or 6 of us that sat down, and we said, we're going to do this. Let's actually go back to be a top 10 club in the world. And this was back when Toastmasters had a distinguished club program that ranked you internationally, and a program I dearly love because of when we really worked that program, what we experienced. We built our club in 5 years to 95 members. We were the #4 club in the world in Toastmasters. And that experience transformed my life tremendously because I learned how I lead. I learned how to work with people. I learned skill sets I never thought that I would have learned. That speech is encompassed in what I learned from the standpoint that the way you get people to work is by finding what's right with them and bringing that out and inspiring them and motivating them in a positive manner, and you get rid of the stick and you get rid of the punishment drive on everything and the threats and all this and the orders, and you lift people up to a greater height. And if you just focus on that, unless they're insane, and we had a couple absolutely psychotic, insane people that joined our club, but we would just continue to love them until they left. I would say my grandmother always said you could say anything at all about anybody you wanted, as long as you ended with God bless him. I asked the ugliest man I've ever seen in my life. God bless him. It just makes everything all right. And I said there were people that joined our club and they finally left, and God bless them. You know, and one of the things I love to talk about is one of the great benefits of Toastmasters is the fact that we accept anybody. And one of the great detriments of Toastmasters is the fact that we accept anybody. And like I said, I don't like to pull my punches on that. But that experience of building that club, and people of 95 members, oh, how horrible that must have been. It was a blast. It was a high energy experience. How many, we have mostly presidents here. Any vice presidents of education? Anybody ever been vice president of education? A few people. Did you ever have to beg people to try to get through their manuals? Yes. You know, May, would you please finish your CC? Well, I don't really feel like it. I want to do it when it's right for me, right? This type of stuff. Imagine members of your club calling you up in May, mad, because you have not scheduled them enough speaking slots to finish their CC by June 30th, because I'm not going to be responsible for this club not being a top 10 club. You find the speaking slots for me. I got to finish my CC by June 30th. That is what was happening in our club. We now have a program called the Distinguished Club Program, and there's this thing called President's Distinguished. And as I said, I'm not going to pull punches with you. I see no reason, and when I say no reason, I can write no, I can cast it in concrete. And by the way, it's N-O, it's not K-N-O-W, it's no reason that any club in Toastmasters is not President's Distinguished. It's like giving the gold medal to somebody running a 30-minute mile. Who here has 6 members in their club? Anybody? 6 members. Okay? You need 6 people in your club to complete speaking level. 4 CCs and 2 ACs. Now let me give you something they don't teach in Toastmasters. It's called your club training capacity. Your club training capacity is the number of speaking slots you have in a meeting times the number of meetings you have a year. So let's just say you have 4 speaking slots in your meeting, and you meet once a week, so let's just say 50 times a year, which are probably 2 meetings you don't have, or you have contest or something. That's 200 speaking slots. You agree? 4 times 50? How many speaking levels, or speeches are in a speech level? 10. So how many people can you get through their manuals based on that training capacity? 20 divided by 10, or 200 divided by 10, today's 20. You follow that? Okay, now I usually have a board up here and I write this stuff out. You see it, or I put it on a PowerPoint and I go through that. But just real simple, you look at how many slots you have per week, how many, every speech is a manual speech, and you need to get 6 people. That means you need 60 slots to get your speaking done. Now, in your club, do you have evaluators?
Oh, yeah.
You have grammarians, you have table topics masters, you have Toastmasters. Good. You think you get 2 people just to fill that out in their Competent Leader program? Okay. And then you have to get a little training done. You have to have 4 officers come twice a year and get trained. And you have to turn a report in on time. This is equivalent of saying, here's what I want you to do. To have the highest honors you can have in your life, I want you to eat 3 meals a day. And people go, I don't think I can do that. There's another thing, there's some stuff with getting some guests in. One of the things I wanted to share with you was some stuff that Father Boyle was talking to me about, or talking to us about yesterday. This is the largest anti-gang reform organization in the world. He employs hundreds of people. He's turned thousands of lives around. He has over 15,000 people a year trying to get into Homeboy Industries. He was invited on Dr. Phil. And he said he didn't know what was going to happen. He walked out on the stage, and there was a chair, a stool for Dr. Phil, and a stool for him. And on this side was a coffin. And on this side was a fully dressed out jail cell. And the producers had flown in from around America 3 gang members, a Hispanic, a black, and a Caucasian. And Dr. Phil's up there going, don't you boys realize that what you're doing is going to result in death or jail? And he's beating them up. Death or jail, that's what you're looking at. And Father Boyle says, I finally had to intervene. And he walked over to Dr. Phil and he said, you got to understand something. Nobody understands that what they're doing is resulting in death and jail more than these boys do. They know that what they're doing is resulting in death or jail. He says what we're actually dealing with here is a lethal lack of hope. They had no hope. And we have to restore their hope before they realize they're not going to have death or jail. And that's what he does. He restores the hope in the individual. Well, on a much lesser scale, what I've seen with a lot of Toastmasters clubs around the world that I talk to is that there are Toastmasters clubs that have a lethal lack of hope. It's just, I don't think a president's distinguished, I don't think we can have the top honors. Baloney. Here's what turned my club around twice. We did something. We decided. And what I see happens in Toastmasters quite often, we get caught up in this week-to-week time continuum, and we never decide to do it. Now, decide's a fascinating word. It comes from 2 Latin words. It comes from de, which means to and away from. Okay? And it comes from the word cide. Now, what other words end in cide?
Suicide?
Homicide, suicide, genocide, pesticide, homicide. So you have 2, what it means to kill one side. Now you look at life, a lot of people say they decided to do something, they decided to take a job, but they always wonder if they should have taken that other job. You see somebody that decided to get married, but they always wonder if they should have married their high school sweetheart. Did they really decide? No, because they decided they would have killed the other side. Now I'm not going to say you should go kill your high school sweetheart. That's what I'm talking about. What we say is when you decide, you make a commitment on that path, and the other path is now dead. And it's a very misunderstood concept. When you decide to build your club, you decide, and you have to make the decision to build it. And the fact is, all you have to do is get 6 speakers through their speaking levels, which any Toastmasters club should be able to do. You have to get 2 people through their competent leader manuals. You have to get the little officer training. You have to turn a report in on time. Oh my gosh, turn a report in on time? And you have to get some new members. Let's look at this. There's 10 points. The first one is 2 competent communicators. Point 2 is 2 competent communicators. Point 3 is 1 advanced communicator. Point 4 is 1 advanced communicator. Point 5 is 1 leadership award. Point 6 is 1 leadership award. Point 7 are 4 new members. Now I can help get new members, it's not a problem. The district's doing stuff to help get new members. So all you have to do is decide to get new members, and then the new members will start coming in. Number 8, 4 new members. Number 9, 4 officers trained to teach TLI. Not even all your officers. And then number 10 is turn your dues reports and your officer list on time. And here's what it is. To be distinguished, you need 5. To be select distinguished, you need 7. To be president's distinguished, you need 9. There's no reason that any Toastmasters club, this is such an easy thing to accomplish, to be president's distinguished. And if you're president's distinguished, what happens is this district is president's distinguished. And if this district is president's distinguished, we put a mark on the world. And it was interesting, one of the other things that I thought Father Boyle stated so incredibly well. He talked about the Trayvon Martin killing, and that he was talking about justice and peace, and we have peace before we get justice, we have to get justice before we have peace. He says we miss the message. It's not peace and justice. What we need to realize is that we need kinship. We need to realize that we're all in this together. And in Toastmasters, there's this incredible kinship in the district. And we realize that we're all in this together. And if each Toastmasters club in this district is winning, the district's winning. And it's not just about our little club. Now, you heard those speeches up there today. Did those speeches have an impact on your life? I'll guarantee you those speeches had an impact on each one of those speakers' lives, on the path that they got to travel. Who here has had benefit from the Toastmasters program? Who here feels that other people should have that benefit? Yeah, we all do. You know, when I look at what the product of Toastmasters is, if we were like a company and we made a product and we sold it out in the world, what would it be? I used to think what we produce, like you have this assembly line, you come in and you have the raw materials at this end, we chuck the materials down the assembly line, at the end of the assembly line, what did we make? Well, I used to think we made competent leaders, and we made competent communicators. I thought that's what the product of Toastmasters was. But I became a competent leader and a competent communicator a long time ago. And I'm still in Toastmasters, and I still love being in Toastmasters, and I still gain benefit from being in Toastmasters. And I started to look at it. And just like I was talking about my boot camp where I had professional trainers, we don't have professional trainers in Toastmasters. If we were a fitness program, you'd take a bunch of overweight, out of shape people, put them in a room, and give them a manual. And they'd say, open up, they say, well, the first thing says to do a push-up, you do it and I'll evaluate you. We become the trainers. And what the final product for me of Toastmasters is an individual who can create in another individual competent communication and competent leadership. We can bring to another individual competent communication, competent leadership. Do you think that would be a valuable commodity a valuable skill set to have? Boy, it has taken me around the world, because what do I actually do? I work with other people to help them become competent communicators and competent leaders. And that's really the skill. We talked about, I think it was Janet or Tammy was talking about the help factor, the fact that we're helping. You know, we are as valuable as we help. And the fact is, the world needs to get in communication. People need to learn these skills. It is one of the best deal in the world. And there's no reason that every Toastmasters club doesn't have 20 or 30 people in it with a waiting list to come in and do this program so that people can learn to get their communication skills. But it starts, just like, I can't remember which one of our Mark Hunter was talking about, you don't change the world with the water, you change it in here. You know, yeah, you have to change inside. We have to believe that we have something of value. We really have to believe that and know that. And we have to be excited about it. And we do the program. And the program is done by the manuals. Now, quite honestly, from my standpoint, everybody in Toastmasters should complete a speaking or leadership level every single year. And I'll tell you one of the problems with Toastmasters. There's about 280,000 people in Toastmasters, and you know how many educational completions we did last year internationally? 28,000. You want to know why Toastmasters is struggling? When you were talking about speeches that aren't done with the manual, because only 1 in 10 people are doing the program. 1 in 10 people are doing the program, and the clubs are struggling. If I was in management, I would say the first thing I do is I get everybody doing the program. I have gone into districts, and somebody comes up to me, they're talking to me, and they go, oh, you're a world champion. I say, well, what's your designation in Toastmasters? They said, I'm a competent communicator. I said, great, when did you do that? They said, 1998. I said, you ever think about doing it again? Why? I did that in 1998. That's like if you went to the gym, and you looked at somebody and you said, why don't you do some push-ups? And I did some in 1998. Now you think that person was absolutely nuts. Now see, speaking's a muscle, you gotta exercise it. Why do I stay at Toastmasters? Because I get to exercise my muscle. Now the simplicity is this is not a hard program to do. How many people were Presidents Distinguished last year in this room? Fantastic. Fantastic. I'm preaching to the choir a little bit. Okay, for that I apologize. I'm preaching to the choir. But what I would like for you to do is let's get the mindset in this district, when you talk to other Toastmasters, that you should be Presidents Distinguished as a base. And when I look at this Distinguished Club program, what I saw Toastmasters International was trying to do was to give everybody a win in having a minimally effective Toastmasters program. 20 members and minimally effective. 20 members and 6 educational completions. I'm going, are you kidding me? Give me a game. But that's what they're trying to do. Just get this club up to 20 members and 6 educational completions and we'll win. Renaissance Speakers, we pushed every member to get through a speaking level every year. Why is our club constantly a top club? Because we request, demand that people do the program. When they do the program, their life changes. When their life changes, they're excited about the program. They're getting benefit from it. When I was in school, when I was a young man, I used to go to church, and I remember the preacher saying, sitting in a church won't make you into a Christian anymore, and sitting in a hen house will make you into a chicken. The same thing's true in Toastmasters. Sitting in a Toastmasters meeting won't make you a good speaker any more than sitting in a hen house is going to make you into a chicken. You got to get up and squawk a little bit and learn to speak. Okay? So my message to you very simply is don't miss the opportunity. Don't miss the opportunity to be President's Distinguished. When I was 14 years old, I talked my parents into sending me to a leadership and mountaineering school in Telluride, Colorado. It was an outward bound type program. I got thrown off cliffs, pushed down wild rivers, tossed backwards down snow fields, and had to learn how to arrest myself. Then we did a 10-day trip by ourselves to the Rocky Mountain across the Continental Divide. And I came back home, my little home in Indiana, and everybody was going, wow, you must have had the time of your life. That must have been an incredible experience for you. And the 5 weeks I was in Colorado, I was scared to death, and I was trying to get out of doing things. I was trying to avoid the fear that I had. And I realized when I got home that I'd missed an incredible opportunity to live. And that experience of 5 weeks of missing those opportunities and always looking for the easy way out and trying to be the last one in line and one that didn't have to climb the toughest part and looking at the easy hikes, not the tough hikes, because I was scared, transformed my life. So I realized that the most incredible experiences that I've had have been the tough ones. When I look back on life, it was when I was scared beyond my belief and there was no way out. Those are the memorable ones. I never remember reconciling my bank account or a good night's sleep. It isn't there. And I didn't want to have another missed opportunity. And what I see is you have an opportunity. Every one of us has an opportunity to have a President's Distinguished Club as a president. That's your legacy that you're leaving. Get it. Don't miss that opportunity because it will transform your life and more importantly, most importantly, it will transform the lives of the members of your club. And that's what we're talking about, is transforming lives and improving lives and building a better world. We don't save gang members on a regular basis, but we reignite imagination. We help people face their fears. We envelop the world with love. And we validate the beauty and the rightness in every individual in Toastmasters. Let's go out there and build a better world. Thank you.
Wow, what an experience. Great speeches, great explanation of the DCP from the President's Distinguished point of view. I want to do a few shout-outs now. How many of your clubs got 4 officers trained? Yes. The presidents of your clubs are going to the fall conference for free. Yeah. How many of you got 7 officers trained? Yeah. The vice presidents of education and the presidents are going to the fall conference for free. That's how much we believe in training. I remember last year, not this last one, but the year before, when I was the LGET, I was sitting in my training, my international training, and thinking, how can we get clubs distinguished if the officers don't know what they're doing? And I realized how very, very important training is. And it's not just a training that you get from TLI, it's what you teach each other. And one of the things that we're going to do, Tammy and Jen and I experienced it, I've experienced it for the last 3 years. At International, what you do is you walk into a room, and there are numbers on each of the tables with a topic. And you choose a topic, and you sit down with your peers, and you discuss that topic for 5 to 10 minutes. And then they tell you to move. And you go and sit at another table with another topic. And you sit down and you discuss that with your peers. There are no Toastmaster International people there. There are no trainers. It's you with your other peers. I think I learned more at that particular event than anything else I did. I always learned more at that. And that's what we want to encourage you to do. That's why TOI is becoming late. So we want you all working together. That's why we're having this meeting here today, so that you're all together learning from each other. Because that's the best way to learn. We need to inspire ourselves. We need to encourage ourselves. Here's another way we're doing that. I challenged you clubs, the clubs. If you're distinguished by December 30th, that means you've gotten 5 DCP points. If you're distinguished by then, you will get a gavel that has engraved on it the name of the club and the charter date. Because we want you to do that. We want you to be successful. Now let me just tell you this, the good news. We already have 1 select distinguished club. Wow. Renaissance speakers. We already have 4 other clubs that are distinguished. Burbank.
All right.
Sales Mastery.
All right, cool.
And Sherman Oaks. LNCSP is very close with 4. It's possible. You still have plenty of time to get your club up to distinguish. And what we find is clubs that go to distinguish want the president's distinguished by the end of the year. Almost nobody stays at select distinguished. Almost nobody stays at distinguished unless they're still struggling and moving along. Now we have lots of programs that we are going to be doing, and we'll be announcing those periodically. But this is your time to ask questions of the district governor. Get 95 people to complete a program in a year. It's a challenge. It's truly a big challenge. The way you do that is, first of all, you get commitment from everyone to get through their program. That's the first thing. The second thing is, then you figure out how many people need to do that. And once you figure that out, then you have to make sure you're having meetings at least once a week. And then finally, what you have to do is you have to figure out how many speak-a-thons that you have to do. In other words, not club meetings, but just where you're giving a speech and an evaluation, a speech and evaluation, a speech and evaluation, to make that happen. Yes?
Let me just address that real quickly. First of all, this is part of the Championship Club program that I do. Part of your club dynamic is the fact that you have about a 30-year club that falls off every year. So when we had 95 members, we got 30 new members that year, but we did 57 educational completions. So we didn't do 95 because we had about a third leaving. That's normal. You have about a third of your membership that's hardcore dedicated members. You have a third that I call it are there. They're there. Then you have a third that are, getting pregnant or going back to school, okay, or just disinterested in leaving on that. And what we did, we went to double meetings. We actually, when we were doing it, we had double meetings. We had a meeting, we had a weekend meeting, we had a Wednesday night meeting, and then we would create the speaking slots. But what we did, we geared our production of speaking slots towards the membership. We didn't cap the membership based on the number of speaking slots, which a lot of clubs do. They go, I only have three speaking slots, we meet once a week. We created it in the meeting. We would get the people, we would create the opportunity for the people to speak. Okay, that's how we did it.
If you're nervous about that, you shouldn't be. Being a president of the club is actually a lot of fun, and there are a lot of things you can do. We are going to be offering you lots of tools to help you through that. And of course, at the end of the day, you all have my business card in your folder, and you can always email me. Text me, phone me, yell, help, cry, I don't care. I will make sure that we get you the help you need.
And all the president's breakfast was really worthwhile and great fun.
Now, I need to figure out how to be a club president.